This week's episodes are brought to you by the generous support of Kupropanda. Hey folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to another episode in our Unity base building game series. We are probably sick of it, but we're going to do a little bit more work on our dialog box for our saving and loading of games. We're nearly done, but I want this sorted by date because that'll be awfully nice. And as I said in the last episode, well, first of all, as I've said multiple times, if you ever find yourself copying and pasting a lot between two classes, it's probably a good sign that they should be subclassed from the same parent class. And yeah, and we're going to change things so that things are going to be sorted alphabetically. And rather than do that twice and then copy it over, I'm going to make a quick little change here. Both the file save controller and file load controller are descended from the dialog box controller. I'm actually going to rename all of these classes and just move them somewhere else because they're not really controllers in the typical sense of how you'd use controller in the sort of model view controller kind of setup. They're really a pure interface thing, a pure UI thing. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put that in the UI subfolder. I'm going to create a folder here for dialog boxes. Actually, I'm just going to call this dialog box. That's going to be fine. And then I'm going to make another folder for file, save, load, like that. So our dialog box controller I'm going to put in here, and I'm going to rename you to something like just dialog box. I think is going to be fine as a base class. We're going to do that. Obviously, because we rename a file, we have to make sure we go in and load. Rename the class here as well, which of course is going to further break our file loading and saving. I'm going to move those into file save load folder over here. I'm going to rename them to dialog box underscore load game. There we go, like that. And dialog box save game. I think that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and open this up. And again, we have to update the name of the class. And also the fact that it descends from dialog box is going to be good. And over here as well, it's going to be called dialog load game, which I think is going to be a lot better, and descends from dialog box, which we're going to change in just a moment. But I'm going to make sure that we haven't broken any of our links at this time, and we probably have. For example, if we take a look at save file over here, no, you're okay. Good. And do all our buttons still link the same way? They may actually. If I hit save and then cancel. Oh, all right. And go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and hit OK. Yeah, there you are at the top of the list. There you are at the top of the list alphabetically. So I think that structure is going to be a little bit better. But more importantly, I'm going to go and take our save dialog box. I'm going to make a duplicate of that. You can do it with Control D or Command D if you're on the Mac. You can also right click and do that. And I'm going to call this dialog box load save game. I know it's kind of cumbersome and stupid, but I can't think of a better sort of term for that. This is going to be the behavior that's shared between the two. And in fact, dialog box load game. Could you respond over here? There we go. So dialog box load game derives from load save game, and save game also derives from load save game. And what we're going to do is we're going to change a couple of these functions. So for right now, both save game and load game both have the show dialog box, the show dialog override, right? Because this is where we build our file list. Well, building the file list is exactly the same in both. So I'm going to remove this override from both the save game and load game. And then we'll just have one. Come on, if I can select this right. I'll just have one that's in dialog box load save. So that's good. What else is exactly the same? Close dialog box is going to be exactly the same for both. All it does is clear up the list. So we're going to get rid of both of those. And then we'll just have the one in dialog box load save game. Now, a couple of things can't be in load save game over here. So we're overriding the show and the close. OK was clicked is technically slightly different. There's a little bit of duplication of where we actually grab the text and then combine the path. But after that, we call slightly different functions. So dialog box load save is not going to have OK was clicked, nor is going to have, obviously, the load world or save world command over there. So this is what our little sub things implement. I think these lists over here need to be moved Oh, okay, right. We already have that. So we're not going to instantiate a new version of the file list prefab and the file list in these children dialog boxes. So there you go. In fact, we can get rid of the start as well. So there we go. All we have in our actual save game class is OK was clicked and save world. And in our load one, same thing, OK was clicked and load world. So we have save world, load world. And in our base one, well, we don't actually need a start. All we're really doing is holding a reference to the prefab, the file list, and a function when the dialog box gets shown or hidden. So let's make sure that A, this compiles, and B, we once again have to make sure that all our links are still correct. It should be all okay. Let's make sure the buttons work exactly the way they used to. Save. So we're going to call this one 111111. I hit OK. There it is at the top. There it is at the top here. Excellent. Okay, good. So I know I went kind of fast there, but I hope everyone sort of follows the general structure. The way our inheritance tree is going to go, it's that mono behavior is the base, which leads to dialog box, which leads to dialog box load save game, which is then split into two children. I mean, mono behavior has tons of different children, obviously, because every single script that we normally write that gets added as a component on a Unity game object is derived from mono behavior. In this case, we're just adding a couple extra little glue layers. And technically, this is all derived from object uppercase, which is a Unity implemented version of object, which I think is even derived from the base lowercase object. I might be lying to you here. So this is the sort of structure. Mono behavior has lots of things that derive from it. Just most of the things that derive from mono behavior, that's the final version. Here we're deriving from mono behavior. We're implementing a base dialog box, which we will make more versions of later on. We're going to have lots of dialog boxes in this game, lots of pop-ups, that sort of thing. And then we have this, which is then split into the dialog box save game, which actually does the work of initiating the save. Actually, technically, world controller does it, and load game. So we have those two subvariants. So, and they all descend from one another. So if we make a change to dialog box, all other things derived from it will have access to those functions. Same thing, if we make a change here, then these two will have a shared change, which is great. So then what we can do, all this, is to simplify our code a little bit. I mean, to a certain extent, inheritance trees can make your code more complicated and confusing to follow that chain. On the other hand, it really helps to build the idea that you keep each individual class as trimmed as possible. Same thing with functions. Better to have more shorter functions than a single ginormous function. I mean, technically, one single function might be technically a little bit more optimal in terms of CPU, because each function call has a little bit more overhead, but in practice, the savings in debugging and readability are a lot higher if you have more smaller functions. Anyway, so here we've got a show dialog box over here, and what are we going to change? Well, what we want to do is we need to change how we get our list of files. Right now, we're using directory.getFiles, which simply returns an array of strings. Now, from this array of strings, we could then look up each and every file to find out when it was created. Because what we're looking to do is sort our list of save games based on when they were created. So we could do that with an array of strings. But there's another way to get these files. So let me just back up over here. Give me some room right there. Let's make sure my view isn't cropped. By the way, I'm hoping nothing goes horribly wrong in this recording. This is the first time I record a video using OBS Studio as opposed to just the regular OBS recording software. So everything about my scenes have changed. So I'm going to apologize in advance if something's a little bit off here, but hopefully it's okay and not cropped like it was last time. So rather than use directory.getFiles, instead we can use a different object called directory info. So this is the save directory, and we instantiate a new one, directory info, and it needs the path, which is the file path over here. And again, you know what? I'm going to rename file path to directory path, right? Because this is not the path to a file, it's a path to directory where we put all our save games. So now we have this dir info in here, and inside of that, from here, we can say save dir, and we can say get files. What's important about this, you can see in the pop-up, this does not return an array of strings. It returns an array of file infos. So if we just say something like get files, and we can store that in file info array. So these are our save games. It's like this. And we can iterate through this and do all kinds of nice things with the save games thing. In particular, we do something like save games. You know, let's say we just grab the 0th. We've got a bunch of different things in here, including, say, the name of the file, for example. Right? So we'll look at that in just a moment. But, well, actually, hold on. Let's go ahead and do that. So now, existing saves isn't going to be a list of strings, so we're going to delete that. This to-do, we're going to get rid of this note because that's what we're doing right now. Actually, we're not doing that quite yet, so let's leave the to-do in there. And then we're going to loop through here for each string, file, and existing save. So what we're actually going to do instead, we're going to loop through file info file in save games. The advantage to changing the name of this variable means we get a little bit more error highlighting. So now we've got file is not a string this time. Last time it was a string, this time it's not. So right over here when we say path.getFileName without extension, this should, well, we'll return an error. We can confirm that if we tab out. Oh, and stop playing the program. There we go. It's right here. It's because getFileName without extension is looking for a it wants a string, right, as opposed to a file info object. So file info object, as we looked at in a moment ago, right, file has got this name property over here. It's also got a full name. It's got different things like this. Let's do a quick little debug. Let's go and comment this out and do a debug.log and see what exactly these various things contain, because it's going to be kind of interesting to see, right? So we've got name, then let's say, okay, what is full name? And then there is also the, well, there's directory name. So we'll just spit out name and full name and compare the two, and then we'll return. Boop. So this is what runs when we open. Either the save or the load should run this immediately. So we'll hit save, and there we go. You can see the comparison. It's either 111.111.save or the full path over here. So full name is actually the full path. Now, neither one of these returns the name without the extension, which is a little bit weird, as far as I can tell. We can get the extension by itself, right? I can say file.extension. That's okay, but unless I'm missing something, there's no version of this that returns the name without the extension. So it strikes me that the easiest way to still get the name without the extension is to take the file.fullName and feed this into path.getName without extension. If you guys have a slightly more direct way of doing that, let me know. It would be nice. I mean, we can do string manipulation, but it seems to me that if we feed the full path to the file in here, this will strip out the actual directory information as well as the extension, and we'll be right back to where we were. So let's give that a try, actually. We're going to hit play. We're going to hit one of these two, save or load. We'll run exactly the same code, and we're right back to how things were. We've got a list of files without the extension. We can confirm that this is actually foo. That this is, not like that, sorry. Like this over here. If I do this, and then just reload, and hit either one of these two buttons, there we go. The foo gets added on there. So clearly this new code is working, and that's great. Okay, so we've gone back to not breaking it, but what we still haven't done is sorted things based on the most recent file. So we can do that a couple of different ways, but the easiest way is probably over here. When this returns an array, I mean, we've got, you know what, rather than do a one-line solution, we're going to do a multi-line solution. So we've got an array of save games, and we want to change this array so it's actually sorted based on the creation date. So just like everything else in programming, there's many, many ways to sort an array. If this were Computer Science 101, then we would be looking at implementing our own version of quicksort or something like that. Obviously, we're just going to use a built-in function, and the question is which one? And there's a bunch of different options there. Weirdly enough, for a lot of the more maybe common ones, they're not actually included in your default Unity using setup. Like if you go using system, then you would have the option of doing the array.sort, and then there's a bunch, you can pass a delegate or something in there to do some sort of sorting, and that would be fine. That's totally okay. I think for us though, I think the handiest thing is the link version of it. And I mean, link here we have used every now and again in the past, mostly to add a list of extra simple transforms to some of like the collections that we have, like turning a list into an array and a few different manipulations like that. Link is extremely powerful. You can use it for basically like SQL level manipulation of streaming data sorts. I mean, not exactly, but anyway, that's way beyond the scope of what we're going to look at here. Mostly what we're going to use it for is just a very simple extra little sort level here. So with link included, for any array at that point, now you have this extra order by. We don't. That should be. Brr. Hang on. Make sure this is compiling correctly over here. Hello. Oh, I think I was doing save dir instead. There it is, order by. Okay, so it adds this order by function to all of your array type objects. Actually, basically anything that's enumerable, which is really handy. So then what this is it takes in a kind of like an action or delegate or whatever, depending on what term you want to use here. It needs some little function in here, and we can make a really quick one. So basically, this is our I don't know, let's call it our file. This is going to be passed to some sort of function, basically. And we could even put in braces like this and resolve in some way. We return some number that gets sorted here. We can choose to do something like, we could sort it by the name of the file. That would work out okay. This is, of course, kind of sort of what's happening by default, but this would let us sort by file name. Because we're not doing anything complicated here, we can actually use it as a pure lambda over here, which has certain optimizations. So we could sort by name, but what we want to do is we want to sort by creation time. That's what we're interested in over here. And by default, this would return, yeah, I think it returns an ordered enumerable is what it's showing over here. We want to explicitly stick this to be back to an array and save that again. It's important to note that order by does not manipulate your source array. It returns a brand new array. So we can do this. To make it a little bit less redundant here, we can actually do this all in one step over here as a single line thing. So now instead of simply getting the files directly, we get files returns an array of file. We order those based on creation time, convert it back to a proper array, and save that. So now, in theory, if I hit play and we hit save, our list should be in a different order. And if I say something like, I'm going to make a new save, I'm going to call this newest file. I'm going to hit OK, and we'll make it very clear what's going on here. Our newest file is at the bottom. And of course, you guys remember, I just did the 111 before this. So it's indeed sorted by creation date, but the oldest one is at the bottom right now, which isn't what we want. We want the oldest one to be at the top. So we can just, I think ordered by has a different version here, doesn't it? Order by descending. There we go. We could alternatively have gone reverse, but that would add an extra step. So if we do this, it just inverts the order by logic. So then if we close this, start again, hit save, the newest one should be the top. There you go, newest file is at the top. And if I make another newest file, this one here, there it is at the top of the list. So now the most recent file is always there. And because of the shared implementation, it works in load file as well. Wachoo! Awesome stuff. Okay, having done that, we have a bug to fix. So let's sort that out. So if we go, actually, if we just load one of these, I don't remember. You know what? I think it's almost time for me to purge this. Let me go and set a new mining drone over here. And then we're going to get a stockpile that goes something like this. And I'm going to save this as the, stockpile test. Like that. Actually, I'm going to overwrite the stockpile test again. There we go. And then we're going to load the stockpile test, which still has our dummy code in here where it spawns a couple of pieces of steel plates for us, and the mining drone is going to generate some. So we're going to see that bug in order here, where these guys just sit and never do anything. And same thing here. You'll deliver that and then never do anything. And it's, I believe, because when we've got our stockpile job, our characters are being told, hey, go and find me some steel plates. I suspect that what they're doing is they're picking up the steel plates that are under their feet and putting them right back. And that's why path A star is returning with a length of 1 over here. This is just some debug information that we've got in there. And a length of 1, since it always includes the source tile, right? I think it includes your starting tile, or it includes the goal, one way or the other. This means, you know, we're being told to walk on the same tile, which doesn't make much in the way of sense. So how are you going to resolve that? Well, that's probably something that's going on in the Lua code for the furniture over here, which we're going to open up. So this is our Lua file that runs all of our furniture logic. So if we take a look at the stockpile code, right, which starts over here. Do I not have? No, I don't. I should have that. Oh, furniture actions like this. Right. Okay, that's fine. So our stockpile code over here, when we're creating a job, we're creating job new. We should not really have comments here for what the parameters to job new is. We're going to take a look at the actual job code because we should be saying you're not allowed to grab stuff from the source stockpile. So let's take a look at this. Our job over here, there is a parameter that says you're not allowed to grab stuff from a stockpile. Okay, job repeats. Where's that? Stockpile. Can take from stockpile defaults to true. Do we not set it to false? Is that's what's going on here? We do set it to false. We do set it to false. Are we ignoring that? Let's take a look at our character logic here. So when our character is trying to do a job, come on, load my document outline. Thank you very much. Do job over here, right? We have a job. Do we have all the material? No, we're missing something. We shouldn't be carrying something, although conceivably that could be happening. But if we're looking at pathfinding, I'm sure we're getting to here. Nope, not here. There we are. Are we standing on a tile with goods desired by the job? So right over here, let's do... We could go into debug mode, but I think just spitting out some little messages will be sufficient here. This is the standing on tile check. You know what? This isn't working. This isn't the code that's running. I'm betting we don't see the pickup stuff spam. We will see this get spammed, but not this. Instead, we're going to see this part get spammed. Walk to the stuff. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on here. Can take from stockpile. We do pass that in there. Let's make sure it's set right. Yeah, maybe it'd be better to go into debug mode. Probably it would, actually. Tell you what, we're going to put a breakpoint here. And we are going to... Well, can start it running. That's fine. I'm going to... Actually, we can clear the debug right now. We're going to link to the editor. There we go. So we're in debug mode. Things should still be running in the background. We're going to load our stockpile test. There we go. And now our characters are sitting around here. Walk to the stuff. Can take from stockpile is set to false. So maybe they're not trying to take it from the stockpile. Or something else is ignoring it. That's probably it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a breakpoint right there. So our program has now stopped running. It's paused right here. So to review, in mono develop, we attached our debugger to the Unity editor by hitting the little button over here with debug and Unity editor selected. And by setting a breakpoint, our program stops here the next time it hits it. So we can investigate some things, and we can check our values out to make sure that everything is as it should be. And indeed, that appears to be the case. So under this, we have our my job. And my job has can take from stockpile, which is correctly set to false. And we can skip over, inventory desired. We can confirm that it wants a stack of steel plates, which it's got. Do we have a path already? It's a good question. This path is currently set to null, so we don't have one. So we're over here. So then we're going to ask the pathfinding system to get the path to the closest inventory of type. Now, this, presumably, let me just skip over this, is indeed returning a new path, which has got a length of 1. So it shouldn't be doing that. So I'm thinking it's ignoring this aspect. Let's go ahead and take a look inside of get path to closest over here. And let's make sure that we're using... Oh, we're not. No, we're just ignoring that completely, aren't we? Can take from stockpile over here. Get inventory of type. Right, get closest inventory of type, also just mapped to get closest inventory type. Both use take in the can take from stockpile, but we don't actually do anything with it. Right over here. The new path A star. Oh, has a variable for can take from stockpile, but we don't actually pass it. So we have to make a change over here, like that. Okay, let's stop the debugger, halt the program. There we go. So we just weren't passing that value. What's the easiest way to get out of debug mode? Oh, solution view. There we go. So that was the problem over here. We were taking in this can take from stockpile, but we weren't passing it to the path A star. And presumably path A star is correctly using can take from stockpile. We're going to find out. We're going to hit play. We've got a compiler error. Does not have a constructor that takes 5. Really? I don't know, it seems like it should. World, tile start, tile end, object type. Oh, desired amount. Yeah, we need to pass that as well. Can take from stockpile. Okay, let's... So this should compile now. Yes, hit play. There's a few changes, actually. Let's see how much stuff gets broken. Stockpile test loads. You guys are going to grab that, and then... You're still not doing it. That's amazing. But I'm pretty sure... Go away. I'm pretty sure that... Well, I mean, we have... It's path A star that's not doing the work that we want. So let's see if we can't figure it out. Can take from stockpile. Do we actually ever use it anywhere? Yeah, right over here. If can take from stockpile is true, or the furniture is null, or it's not a stockpile, then we say that this is okay. So for some reason, this is returning true, even though can take from stockpile is false. So, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to use the debugger again. That's fine. We'll figure this out. Load, stockpile test. Hit OK. We'll let it get into its error sort of situation here. You're going to wait until there's some of these things. This job will stop. You'll grab 50, dump it over there. So these guys should really... And you can see we're spamming the same things over and over because we're at 99 plus. Actually, we could collapse over here. We actually get the counts that go up. So that's clearly what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the debugger. And no, we don't want a stop point there. We can actually hit play again. What we want is in path A star, we want a breakpoint right here. Oh. It's not hitting this. The breakpoint is not actually triggering. All right, we'll put a breakpoint here. Okay. Why is that? So, oh. We're actually returning right here. Actually, let me hit play, loop through, make sure we've got a fresh one. And we do. So this is on the first run. This is all returning to true. So why is that? Goal is null. So it's not this first bit. So the second bit is if goal is null and current.data.inventory is equal. Is our current tile making sure its inventory is not null and it's the right type. Oh, we've reached our goal, but why does this respawn here? Why are we checking twice? So this is the correct line. Okay, hold on. We're almost there. Let's figure this out. Stop and stop executing. And once again, show me the solution view. So right over here, we check to see if we've reached our goal, and we return. Are we doing the same thing twice? I have a duplication of code in here. Did I start doing a rewrite and then, like, stop halfway through? I'm right. I've got the same code twice. Both of these do exactly the same thing, checking to see if we've reached the goal. I mean, you can see here. What the hell? Why did I end up with this code? Did I, like, comment something out or meant to comment something out or rewrite things? Wow, I have no idea how we got here. Look at this garbage. Because this is literally, look, this first line is if goal not equal to null and goal is equal, sorry, if goal is not equal to null and current is equal to goal, then we reconstruct the path and return, which is exactly the same thing that happens here. Else, we check to see some stuff about inventory, which is exactly what this is. This is, everything here is a more explicit version of this. Except this one is wrong. This one tries to be sort of clever and write everything as a single if statement. This one uses a series of nested ifs, which is far more correct. This should have been commented out, or deleted. I'm just going to comment it out for a second, because this one is wrong because it's not checking to see if it's a stockpile and if we're allowed to take from a stockpile. It works perfectly fine, except it doesn't check the stockpile information. So if I hit play and load our stockpile test, okay, you're going to grab stuff. That's fine. Then you're going to go grab that. Oh, a little bit of confusion. Things aren't being reserved correctly. But our bug's gone away, which is fantastic. Oh! That was weird. There's still definitely some weirdness going on. I think it might be a little clearer if we were down to just one character. So how do we do that? Well, when we spawn our world, that's where we spawn 3 characters. So I'm just going to spawn 1. Now, our save will still have 3 characters in it. So we're going to have to make a new world. Well, this is the new world with the pathfinding test. Mining drone over here. I need a stockpile over here. And I'm going to save this as stockpile test 2 and hit OK. So you're going to go build the stockpile, which is great. You're going to bring that over there. You're going to work this. And actually, I'm going to reload this so that we have a few more little chunks of stockpile kicking around. Oh, right, you didn't actually build the stockpile. I should have saved it after it was constructed. There we go. Let's resave over stockpile test 2. But the file overriding is working well. So you're going to drop that there. You're going to drop that, you know, wherever, because they're separate jobs. At some point, we have to optimize the stuff. And then, what was that? Why did you move like this? All right, so there's still something else going on there, but the pathfinding is now returning something correct. So this, I have no idea why I had exactly the same code twice. One is more explicitly written. If we have a positional goal, check to see if we are there. We don't have a positional goal. We're just trying to find some kind of inventory. Have we reached it? Question mark. There we go. So a little bit more explicit what's going on there. So this is a lot better. I mean, clearly it's easy to make bugs the other way around. What the hell? I really am curious about the series of events that caused me to have the same code in there twice. And someone probably caught it and let me know in the comments at some point, and I'm sorry that I didn't notice that one comment explaining it. I suspect our pathfinding is fine now. I just suspect that there's just a little bit of wonkiness in our stockpile job creation logic that might be sending people wandering around a little bit more than they should. But we've improved something. We'll see if we can't smash those bugs more later on. At least things are working now. There just seems to be a little bit of extra pointless movement that is occurring, but things are working now, so that's an improvement. And we do have to put a cut in here. Thank you very much for watching another episode, folks. See you next time. Thank you everyone who continues to make Project Porcupine a reality by supporting us on Patreon. You guys are supporting us through August and early September, and including these mic check supporters, we've got Drazion, Jan Torivel, Julian Auger Lafont, Craig Mortel, Neil Blakey Milner, Ole Peter Talgo, Wes Oldenboving, Kale the Quick, Valiant Cake Fiend, Aaron Toiveson, Michael McClintock, Marius Fieldvold, Speedy Savant, Jason Yanity, Adjective, Steven Stager, Kupropanda, Yukofin, and absolutely everyone who's watched, shared, favorited, and subscribed these videos. I appreciate you very, very much.